Okay, now let's look at rape of an unmarried woman. This is part 2 of the question of whether the Bible condones rape. The response of an unmarried woman who has been sexually assaulted is reflected in an ancient Mesopotamian text called the Instructions of Shurupak. Now, this Instructions of Shurupak is a form of ancient literature from the Sumerian civilization and is often categorized as wisdom literature. A Sumerian proverb within this text advises, "Do not force yourself on a man's daughter. She will reveal it in the public square." I repeat, do not force yourself on a man's daughter. She will reveal it in the public square. This is what Tamar did after being violated by Amnon in the book of 2 Samuel 13. After the assault, she didn't keep quiet but made the incident known, similar to the proclamation in the courtyard mentioned in the Sumerian proverb. Do not force yourself on a man's daughter, she will reveal it in the public square. This highlights how victims, even in ancient times, were encouraged to bring attention to such traumatic experiences, effectively standing up against their violators. In 2 Samuel 13, verses 19, we read, "And Tamar put ashes on her head and rent her garment of many colors that was on her, and she laid her hand on her head and went away, crying aloud as she went." Crying aloud as she went. Remember the Sumerian proverb. Do not force yourself on a man's daughter. She will reveal it in the public square. This is rape of an unmarried woman. Biblical laws, as outlined in Deuteronomy 22, 28 to 29, address the issue of rape of an unmarried woman in a way that can seem surprising or even shocking to modern sensibilities. I repeat that. Deuteronomy 22, 28 to 29 addresses the issue of rape of an unmarried woman in a way that does seem surprising or even extremely shocking to modern sensibilities. It states, if a man finds a virgin girl who was not betrothed and seizes her and lies with her, and they are found, the man who lay with her shall give 50 shekels of silver to the girl's father, and she shall become his wife, because he violated her. He shall not send her away all the days of his life. Now, the prescribed solution, I'm putting solution here in parentheses. The prescribed solution was for the man who committed the rape to marry the woman he assaulted and also pay a fine as a form of penalty for his actions. This is reflected in the story of Tamar and Amnon in 2 Samuel 13 that we just read, where Tamar suggests this course of action to Amnon after he sexually assaults her. she suggests this, exactly what the book of Deuteronomy 22:28-29 is telling us. And she said to him, "Do not do this wrong, which is greater than the other one that you did to me. Yes, you did rape me. That is wrong. But the greater wrong is sending me away. What you have to do is you have to marry me, and then my father, which is in this case David, is supposed to find Amnon." So Tamar tells Amnon, "Do not do this wrong, which is greater than the other one that you did to me by sending me away." But Amnon did not listen to her. Further, a similar approach to addressing rape can be found in the story of Dinah in Genesis 34. What do we have there? After Shechem rapes Dinah, he tries to make amends by offering to marry her and providing compensation to her family, that is Jacob and his sons. In Genesis 34:11-12, Shechem articulates this offer. What do we read? "And Shechem said to his father and to her brothers, 'May I find favor in your eyes. Whatever you tell me, I will give. Impose upon me a large marriage settlement and gifts, and I will give as much as you ask of me, but give me the girl for a wife.'" What is Shechem proposing here? Shechem is proposing what is stated in Deuteronomy 22:28-29. "If a man finds a virgin girl," Dinah was a virgin, "who was not betrothed," Dinah was not betrothed, "and seizes her and lies with her, and they are found, the man who lay with her shall pay 50 shekels of silver to the girl's father," that is Jacob, "and she shall become his wife." Shechem proposed to marry Dinah because he violated her. He shall not send her away all the days of his life. Now, it's crucial to note, however, that these stories reflect the societal norms and legal codes of their time and should not be taken as models for addressing sexual assault in today's world. Never. It should not be done. Now, this prescription here, like I said, is grossly problematic. So what happened was that later rabbinical interpretations of Deuteronomy 22:28-29 introduced a significant amendment to the original law with the intent of providing more agency to the girl's father. The adjustment stipulates that the girl's father now has the option to accept the compensation without the obligation of agreeing to the marriage. So what are the rabbis saying now? Yes, when this happens, take the compensation, but you don't have to agree with the marriage. Now, this alteration is not explicitly mentioned in the biblical text. It does not. It's not mentioned. But the amendment is due to its unexpected or even startling specification of the victim marrying the person who raped her, the violator, the perpetrator. So, the rabbis introduced this significant amendment because, like I said, it is shocking. But again, these laws didn't come out of nowhere. It's important again to view them in the context of their time and place, which is the ancient Near East. For instance, Middle Assyrian law A55, which dates to the 14th century BCE, shows a similar idea. What does it say? If a man forcibly seized and raped a young woman who was living in her father's house, who was not betrothed, whose womb had not been opened, who has not been taken sexually, and has no claim concerning her marital status against her father's house, if that man acted either inside the city or in the field or at night, whether in the street or in a barn or during a city festival, the father of the young girl shall take the wife of that fornicator who raped the young woman and hand her over to be raped. He, the father, shall not return her to her husband. She shall keep her, and the father shall give his own, that is, violated daughter, to the fornicator in marriage. If he, the rapist, has no wife, he shall pay her father 3 times the normal bride price for a young woman. Her rapist shall marry her. He cannot reject her. If her father is unwilling to give her, he may accept the 3-fold money of a young woman, and he may give his daughter in marriage to someone that he chooses. So when you put the law that we have in Deuteronomy 22, verses 28 to 29, in its ancient Near Eastern context, you do have similarities. That is why I said the question should not be, does the biblical text condone rape? We should put it in its ancient Near Eastern context. What do we have from the ancient Near East about how rape is supposed to be dealt with? Now, this Assyrian law that we just read, A55, introduces an additional aspect of indirect punishment for the rapist's wife, something not found in the biblical text. Outrageous, I must say. But apart from that, the laws have common elements, a hefty financial penalty, and the mandate that the rapist marries his victim, but only if the victim's father gives his approval. Now, there are some older laws relating to rape found in a Sumerian school text that are interesting because they shed light on the story of Dinah's rape by Shechem in Genesis 34, where marriage was proposed as a resolution. This is what the law states. If he raped a man's daughter in the street and her father and mother did not know him, but he, the rapist, comes forward and says to her father and mother, I will take her in marriage, then her father and mother shall give her to him in marriage. So this law might be understood to depict a scenario where the rapist himself reveals the incident to the parents and proposes his willingness to marry their daughter. Essentially, he takes the lead to both inform them about the unfortunate event and propose marriage as a way to resolve their situation. Now, the negotiations between Shechem, also represented by his father Hamor, and Jacob, alongside Dinah's brothers, as told in Genesis 34, appears to be a similar negotiations. So we see what is happening on the backdrop of the ancient Near East. The biblical laws mentioned in Deuteronomy 22, 28 to 29, tackle the issue of rape in a manner that can be quite startling to our modern understanding. The proposed remedy or solution, in parentheses, requiring the perpetrator to marry the woman he violated and pay a penalty, raises several concerns. Firstly, the law appears to treat marriage as a form of punishment or consequence for the perpetrator, rather than a mutual agreement between two consenting individuals. This perspective is fundamentally flawed and could potentially lead to further harm for the victim. Secondly, the law seems to reduce the traumatic experience of rape to a financial transaction, with the fine serving as compensation. This trivializes the severity of the crime and the profound emotional and psychological impact it has on the victim. Lastly, the laws does not seem to consider the woman's consent or her feelings towards her assailant. This lack of agency given to the woman is deeply troubling and reinforces patriarchal norms that are widely considered outdated and harmful today. This is a time when women were seen as property. All in all, while these laws might have been reflective of the societal norms and values of their time, they do not align with our current understanding of consent, women's right, and justice.